My world that I want to have a little pride in. My world, and it's not a place I have to hide in. Life's not worth a damn till you can say I am what I am.
And today we welcome back a long-standing and a great friend of the programme, who is the author, Glenn Quigley. So, Glenn, welcome back again to LGBTQ+life.
Thanks very much for having me back.
Yeah. Glenn, now I have to say, for the benefit of listeners, this is the first time you and I have not met in a hotel room.
Yeah, well, after the last time, I didn't think it was right.
You're still I presume you're still based in Northern Ireland. Is it? Has COVID? Has the lockdown more or less eased off completely up there, or what's the situation?
We've got our shops back open. We've got our pubs and restaurants, but everything is outside. I think from this Monday, I think they're letting people back in small groups.
Yep.
So that will be a real test to see how things go.
Sure. Now you're, I would suggest, probably 20 years younger than me at least. How have you gone in terms of your jabs? Have you had both?
I've had the first one. I get the second one next month.
Okay. Well, any reaction? I'm just comparing notes with people on these.
I had no energy the next day. I was really, really tired. And then I was fine for a couple of days. And then I think 3 days later, I was absolutely exhausted again.
That's interesting. Yeah, what did you have?
AstraZeneca.
Same as myself. Yeah. No, I had a bit of a sore arm. Then I had a bit of a cold. I felt a bit cold that evening. I was fine the next day. But look, I'm sure you're a bit like myself. We believe in the science, and it's better to be safe, isn't it?
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah.
Yep. Glenn, the last couple of times we've met, you've been coming down for the Bear Féile. Now, like all sorts of other events, it was cancelled last year, almost certainly going to be cancelled this year. Very disappointing, but not much we can do about it.
No, it's an awful shame. When you don't have these big community events, you tend to lose touch. It is an awful shame. I can't wait to get back to it.
Yeah, well, I since I last saw you at 2019 Pride, which was the last live event we had, I had the delightful pleasure of riding with all our friends on the Bear bus. And I can tell you, that was the best Pride I have ever been at. It was absolutely, they're such a fabulous bunch of people.
Yeah, they know how to have fun.
Yeah, they do, don't they? Yeah. And then, unfortunately, YouTube all I did was put up a video of basically me with a camera, filming the crowd and filming some of the people on the bus, and they blocked it. And the reason why they blocked it is not because I was doing anything, but because of the background music. Can you believe it? Yeah. So
terrible.
Such are the ways. Glenn, in the meantime, I gather, when you and I first met, you were a very humble man who was involved in graphic design. Then I met you, and you had just penned your first novel, which made you an author. And I gather now, since then, you've developed an interest in photography, which was probably there before, and watercoloring as well, watercolor painting as well. You've become the veritable Renaissance man.
Yeah, well, I mean, the photography was always there in the background. But it's something I was always interested in. I've moved away from it now again because my interest keeps changing. And I practiced watercolor for a while. Then I moved on to doing more portraiture work with charcoals, and I recently tried pastel work, and I'm mostly sort of sticking with that side of things now.
Sure. Yeah. Now, I'm going to do a plug for you here, Glenn. You've got a company, or at least certainly a website that where your graphic work is available, and it's called Moody Bear. I suspect working from home hasn't really made an enormous difference from you, because you probably worked from home for most of the time anyway.
Yeah, I've worked from home for near 10 years now. So yeah, the moodiebear.com, is Andrew. He's based in Manchester, and I design t-shirts for him. So yeah, for my day-to-day working life hasn't really changed that much. It's still me sitting in front of a laptop, drawing and sending them off to Andrew.
Well, look. So long as it pays the bills and as long as it keeps you happy, that's, who can argue with that? But since then, when we first came in contact, Glenn, you had just published your first book, and it was called The Moth and Moon. You were, I think at the time you were exactly the way to go. That was, as I say, you were a bit trepidation as to how that might work out. I gather it worked out quite well. And the last time we spoke, you were at what we would call the difficult second novel, The Lion Lies Waiting. Tell listeners first, you've got that too. Absolutely. How did those books go, Glenn? I mean, I'm talking in terms of sales and critical acceptance.
Yeah, well, we do it really well. I've had some really, really brilliant reviews, just fantastic reviews on we do up on Amazon. There people with review blogs. It's lovely when friends say nice things, but it's special when it's somebody who has no connection to you whatsoever, has read your book, knows nothing about you, and still gives it a good review. It's like it's nice to see. Yeah.
At the time we were talking, we were talking about trying to get them into the public libraries. Did you have much success with that?
Yeah, they're stocked now. I think it was, at last I counted, it was 6 libraries in Dublin, and I think there's 2 or 3 libraries here in Northern Ireland stock them as well. So that's fantastic.
You've not run into any, dare I say it, reaction in that regard of people accusing you of trying to, do a bit of a Socrates of corrupt the young?
Not so far. Not so far.
Yeah. So, unfortunately, of course, the public library, particularly, well, I don't know about the north, but the public libraries down here have been closed for the best part of a year. But hopefully, people will be able to get them online and things like that. Something I was thinking about, Ben, when you sent me the copy of it. Are you doing audiobooks or anything like that, or is that in the pipeline?
No. I was part of a brand new book convention called Icarus. That happened a couple of weeks ago. It was a bunch of authors got together and decided to have a little event. And part of the planning committee, the idea was we'd all do a reading of our book for promotional purposes.
Okay.
So everybody else, there's 8 of us on the committee at the time, everybody else said theirs did. I sat down and I tried to record a little reading of the oath. And after 17 tries of me not being able to get through the entire thing without either swearing, laughing, forgetting what I was saying, or dropping the book, I gave up. And it ended up on the day of the event itself. One of the participants pulled out due to illness, so I had to step in, and I did a live reading without any preparation at all. So it's on YouTube if anybody wants to sit through it.
Well, look, all I can say, Glenn, is from my observation of the way not only broadcasting is going, but a whole range of things are going. The number of people I know, you go up to them and they don't hear what you're saying because they've got headphones on and they're either listening to a podcast or listening to an audiobook. So who knows? There's another string to the bow there potentially. Yeah,
we'll see.
we shall see. We shall see. The third book, Glenn, you've just brought out. It's called The Cry. We Cry the Sea. Do you I've got to ask you, do you design all your own covers?
No, I don't. My publisher, Nine Star Press, works with a brilliant designer called Natasha Snow. She designed all of their covers, and they are just beautiful. They're fantastic.
They really are evocative. That's why they say you shouldn't judge a book by their cover, but I think you can certainly gauge certain amounts of Glenn Quigley's work from the covers. Yep. Am I right in thinking you were awarded something called the Rainbow Award.
Yes.
Can you tell us about that, Glenn?
I made the list for best gay book in 2019. I think they skipped a year, so I think it was it was either 2018 / 2019, 2019, 2020.
Yeah.
It was The Line Lies Waiting, my second book, placed in the part of the list of winners for best gay book. So yeah, that was a real surprise.
So you got that for The Line Lies Waiting.
Yeah.
Well, leaving aside the awards, in terms of commercial success, which of the two books was more successful, the Moth and Moon or The Line Lies Waiting?
It's still the Moth and Moon, still the better seller of the two.
Is it? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think what happens is people find out about it. They see there's 2 or 3 books out. They're going to go for the first one.
Of course,
They're always going to pick up the beginning. So what happens is every time a new book comes out, is the previous books get a little bump in sales. So I've had a bump for the first 2.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking now that maybe people who started with the first book, will they, after a couple of months, will they go back and hopefully try the second and the third?
Sure. And do you have any information about the demographic? Where do your books sell? I mean, I would imagine they sell quite well because you're a very well-known character on, dare I say, in the bear milieu in Ireland. But do you have much success abroad?
Yeah. When I released the third book, I sent signed copies all over the world. They went to mainland Europe, they went to Canada, America, a few went to Australia. So they're kind of everywhere.
Oh well, look, isn't that a good thing? I mean, well, apart from not only that, do you get the foreign earnings, but you also get the recognition abroad. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. So who knows then? Once we get COVID under control, you may well start to get the invites to go to things like the Y Festival and other literary festivals around.
Oh, wouldn't that be nice?
Well, exactly. Well, wouldn't it be? Exactly. But well deserved if that's the case. Something I've noticed, Glenn, just looking at how can I put it, size is
where does it go?
Here you go. Your first book had 172 pages. Your second book had 280 pages, and the third one, I gather, is around the 420. So roughly speaking, you're going up about 50% at a time. So by the time you come out with the fourth book, it'll be up there with War and Peace.
I'll try to refrain the stuff.
Yeah. But again, not only for my own interest, Glenn, but from aspiring writers, I suspect in terms of your writing skin, you've become more comfortable now. Clearly, anybody who can produce a work that has 400 odd pages, you've become very comfortable because it's 150% up on your first one. Is that how you feel yourself?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't. I didn't specifically set out to do it, but when I wrote the first book, it was basically to see, can I write a book? When I wrote the second book, it was to make sure the first book wasn't a fluke, that I could actually do it again.
Yeah.
And then by the time the third book came around, I built this world. I had these characters, and I knew roughly the little areas of their lives that I wanted to explore, and I gave myself the time and the room to do that.
Yeah. In many respects, Glenn, although the work is set in the late 18th century, there's a timeless quality about it. Is that was that always your intention?
Yeah, because it's historical fantasy fiction, so it's not hard set in the actual past. It's like an alternate history, the way things could have been, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So I think, I hope that there's, they're not archaic. That you don't feel like you have to study to figure out what's happening. I think the way people talk and interact with each other, I think, is very relatable. I hope so.
Well, not only that, but the last time we were speaking, we were talking about research, and you were suggesting you had gone to Cornwall. How did you approach this one in terms of research, or is it pretty much because of lockdown? This is pure Glenn Quigley imagination.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously there was no traveling last year, but yeah, well, because it's still in the same world, a lot of the research I did kind of carried over. There's a much more piratey element this time around, so a lot of it was watching fiction to get the feel that I wanted, and then reading up the facts to try and separate the Hollywood out of what pirates really like, and then I'll be honest, I picked and choose which elements I wanted to highlight, which ones I wanted to completely ignore in terms of how pirates really were, and instead of I thought about, well, how would they function in the world of my book?
Sure.
So I spent a lot of time on that, trying to figure out how that society would work within the larger framework of the book.
Sure. Now, when we spoke originally, you were very conscious of two elements, and you didn't want to be mistaken in both of these. The first one is you didn't want this to be, shall we say, a low-budget poldark. You wanted the books to stand on their own, even though there possibly would be a common element in it. And the other piece you said to me was that although these might be classified as gay books because the characters are gay, you didn't want them to become, say, Tom of Cornwall. In other words, the people we talk about people's lives who they happen to be LGBTQ. That's incidental, and they're not. Dare I say it? They're not full-on graphic descriptions of people getting up to things. I'm presuming the third book hasn't changed in that regard, that you're still following a certain style design, if you like.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing about poldark books, they're now still with graphic descriptions of heterosexual intercourse. So there's no reason why mine would be. But no, I deliberately set out to have a kind of a roughly in all ages aspect to it, in terms of there wouldn't be particularly gross, gory violence, and there wouldn't be graphic sex, and there wouldn't be a lot of swearing. It was the tone I wanted to set, and the characters. I think in terms of characters all being part of the LGBT community, because those terms weren't used back then, I didn't use them in the book. So
exactly.
I think that I think that all contributes to just this feeling of these are just characters, these are just their lives.
Indeed.
And it's instead of being like a message book in terms of of it directly addressing what it is to be part of the LGBT community.
Yeah. The other element as well, which I think for anybody who's starting with the books, start with the beginning. Start with Moth and Moon, because that's the genesis of this series. But you've almost developed a family of characters in that sense of the word, that I'm presuming then that the main characters are still there in book 3. Does the temptation arise to kill a few off for dramatic effect, or what's the situation?
It's difficult to talk about without getting into spoilers.
Oh, sure, yeah.
The idea is always there. It's like, well, look, if I suddenly halfway through kill off this main character, then won't that be shocking, and won't that keep the reader interested?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't want to hamstring myself with future stories by just casually throwing the character under the bus. Well, I know for a fact that there's more to them that I can develop into future stories. But by the same token, you don't want it to be so cozy that there's no threat. If I put a character in danger, you have to realistically believe something bad could genuinely happen to them.
Absolutely. Well, people's lives have tension. That's the reality, isn't it? Yeah. Now, I remember asking you, and you were very, humble about this. I said the main character is, of course, Robin Schipp. I said, is Robin Schipp autobiographical? Is more and more of Glenn Quigley coming into Robin?
No, I think the more I write Robin, the more it's become clear that he's his own person who happens to live inside my head and in these books.
Yeah.
I just sit in front of the keyboard and I let him talk, and I write whatever he tells me.
Look, isn't that what inspiration is about? Now, I have to admit, one of the characters I like immensely because I have a particular image of this character, and that's Lady Ava. Did you have anybody in mind when you created this character? We should. Lady Ava is, for the benefit of listeners, she's a very, dare I say it, she'd be very avant-garde for the 18th century, and she'd be pretty avant-garde even for the 21st century. She,
I'm googling here now 'cause I'm trying to remember the actress's name. Physically, she's based on an actress. Killing me now, I can't think of her name. Hang on.
Not Sarah Bernhardt.
No, I can't think. Hang on. I'll keep looking. But yeah, no, she's one of the most fun characters to write because she has that sort of. She's almost external to everything that happens around her because she comes from such a different world to the rest of the characters who all live in this tiny little village. And she comes from this grand house, she comes from money, and she just kind of walks in and goes, well, I don't know what you're talking about, but if it doesn't interest me, we're not going to talk about it anymore. She's the problem-solving character. She just walk in and fix whatever's going wrong. And the hell with the consequences. And she's an absolute ton of fun to write. Really is.
Well, I don't know. Excuse me. I don't know if it's the same person you had in mind, but when I read about the character of Lady Ava, the person that she struck me as being a dead ringer for was a woman called Natalie Barney. Now, Natalie Barney was a gay woman who lived in the late 19th century, early 20th century in Paris. She was American. She came from a very wealthy background. And dare I say it, she dressed up like that and everything. So she was, have a look at Natalie. And as I say, that was exactly who it struck me. There's a few others as well, but she was definitely the one that struck me.
Yeah, I'm just Googling there. Yeah, that's basically her sort of kind of casual kind of energy, that confidence.
And not only that, but flamboyant. Somebody that was within reach but untouchable is the way I put it. And
the best dressed person in the room.
Always, absolutely. And anybody who looks up Natalie Barney will see why we're saying this. She was such a character as well. Now, again, the fourth book. How comfortable are you with that? I mean, it's a blockbuster in that sense of the word, Glenn. You've gone to a great deal of effort to complete this. How long did it take you to put this together? Because it's about 18 months since you and I last spoke. Even longer here.
It was about a year all told to write the third book. And I signed the contract. In 2019, I think it was. Yeah. And it was about a year before the book came out. So the editing process took place like maybe 2 months before the book was released. So I had a long wait.
Yeah.
So in that time, I basically plotted out a prequel to the first book, which would tell the story of Duncan's arrival on the island and his relationship with Robin. And I'm also working on a book that spins off of the third book. I can't talk about it.
Obviously, obviously, yes, indeed. Yep. And something again that has always struck me is that these are very visual books, as befits a graphic artist. Have you had any nibbles about turning them into either television or even film?
I wish I did. I'd love to. I would really. It's not. I mean, obviously, I would love to see my work, come to life in that respect.
Yeah.
But I think because the cast are all kind of, middle-aged, larger types, the kind that you don't see as main characters on TV.
Yeah.
So I think it would be interesting in that respect, to see myself, to see my friends, to see, the people I like represented, as main characters who have their own lives, who have their own inner conflicts, and aren't just bit players in other people's stories.
Now, who would you like to see play Robin Schipp in that?
I don't know. There's one actor, and again, if I thought about it, I couldn't hold his name. he's got that build. He's as big as, you know, he's big and burly like Robin is, and he looks the part. And I cannot think of the man's name.
Well, as long as it's not Johnny Depp, who's as we say, although he's got pirate credentials, he has.
No.
He has burned his bridges. Are you working on a fifth book already, Glenn?
Yeah. The events of the third book leave one of the side characters in an interesting place, which I won't talk about because it'll spoil it.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I wanted to explore what would happen to them after those events, and it's removed from the rest of the main cast, so I don't even know if they'll appear in it. So yeah, it's a proper spin-off in that respect. So I'm having fun writing that, actually.
Yeah. Now, you've had, as we mentioned earlier in the interview, you've had a lot of great support from our good friends in Dublin Bears. If I'm correct, you had a sort of launch of the first book at one of the Bear Failures. Now, unfortunately, that's not been possible this year. But is there any plans to have something of a formal launch, Glenn?
To be honest, I couldn't, because there was nowhere open. There was nowhere that was nowhere available that would hold any kind of number to make it worthwhile, unfortunately. So the other thing I can hope for is if Bear Failure does go ahead at some point, that I can go down and do a signing and meet people and hopefully get something that way.
Well, one of the positive developments, which I can assure you I saw today, Jack Nealons are looking for staff. Now, not that I'm suggesting that you sign up as a barman. The important element, Glenn, is people who are listening to this and who will have an interest in acquiring a copy of The Sea, We Cried the Sea, or your other two books, The Moth and Moon and The Lion Lies Waiting, how can they get a copy of them, Glenn?
They're available on Amazon. You can get them in Waterstones. If you want to support your local bookshops, which you should, you can go in, ask for the books by name, or get the ISBN numbers from the internet. They will be able to order them for you. Or you can get in contact with me directly and I can get you a signed copy. I have a website, it's glennquigley.com. That's Glenn with two N's. You can get in contact with me on Twitter, it's @GlennQuigley. I have a Facebook page called Glenn Quigley Author, but basically if you Google my name, you'll find some way of getting in contact with me. I'm not hard to find.
And so if they're getting in contact with you, do you have a PayPal or something? And we don't need the details of it now. Is there they're going to have, you've got all of that, so that's great. Look,
that's all sort of it.
Yeah, Glenn, I just want to finish off by congratulating you on the progress you've made. It's just absolutely tremendous. I know that you're enjoying it immensely. You've as an author, you've matured brilliantly, and we look forward to catching you down here for the next Bear Pride. So in the meantime, you keep churning out the books, and we'll keep reading them.
Well, thank you very much for having me again. I appreciate your support as always.
That's all, no problem. You can always count on that. So that's Glenn Quigley, the author. The new book is called We Cried the Sea, and at the very least, you can get a copy on Amazon. So Glenn Quigley, thanks for your time today. There we go.
It's my world that I want to have a little pride in. My world, and it's not a place I have to hide in. Life's not worth a damn till you can say I am.